If you don't know how to organize your space so that you can prioritize your time, then you won't be able to achieve things you desire. Whether that's getting an A plus, whether that's getting a certain goal chalked off the board, whatever it might be that you're trying to achieve or accomplish, organizing your time using specific strategies so that you can achieve what you want, you can get what you really desire. It can't happen overnight, but it can happen if you use the correct strategy. And today I want to talk about some of those strategies for shaping your environment and utilizing tools such as weekly planning and other methods that allow you to get more out of your time and your actions so that you're not just lost about what the next step is, what the next, goal is. I think going down the road of achieving things can seem daunting and confusing in the beginning because there isn't much guidance for how to achieve goals as much as there is guidance on what goals to achieve. If we're told we should achieve this level of success or this level of skill or this level of expertise, we're told that, but we're not always told how to. We're not always given the strategy because for whatever reason, I think it's kind of, an open-ended situation, figure it out yourself sort of thing. And I think that's okay for a while to be kind of just figuring things out. But I think at a certain point, you have to come to a conclusion on what the final strategy is. And I think the first step, for studying and educating oneself on something that they really want to understand and excelling at that comes down to planning and strategizing. And planning doesn't just mean writing things down as much as it means doing the things you write down. There has to be execution followed by a plan. The plan has to follow a certain set of actions. And those actions have to accomplish a certain set of goals. They can be small goals or big goals, but either way, they have to accomplish something and they have to lead to progress. And I think weekly planning for, say, studying a specific subject or trying to learn a new skill is important for seeing progress because a lot of times I think we try to fit so much in a day as, people in the West, and the way we're taught to learn things is to try to learn a conglomeration of a bunch of different subjects and try to make sense of it all in one day. Whereas we have more than one day. We have a whole week. We have several weeks and we have several months. And I think getting a more broader view of how we're achieving something in that time of span of time is much more useful than trying to shrink it all into a small, minuscule, singular amount of, say, 24 hours. We have more than 24 hours. I think it was Virgil Abloh who said, the famous black designer, who said that we all have more than 24 hours. And I think using that sort of concept to achieve more is very useful. So I think beginning with weekly planning, whether that's setting aside specific days for different subjects, whether that's setting aside different days for different skills, or setting aside just a week for a specific goal to be accomplished. Weekly planning and even, monthly planning is very useful for actually seeing progress towards a specific goal. As well as that is being considerate of the fact that you're not always going to be 100%. As important as it is to strategize and to execute and to set out goals and plans, it's just as important to be in tune to what your energy is telling you. If you're not feeling a certain way to act on something you said you were going to do, ask yourself why. What variables are making you feel that way? And if you can't figure it out, just be okay with feeling that way. I think trying to make it a black or white situation as to I should do it or I shouldn't do it, it comes from a certain degree of fogginess about understanding that the goals aren't really as important as the person we become in achieving them. And I think shaping our environment helps us understand how we're shaping ourselves for success. So trying to be harsh towards oneself just because we don't achieve something or we didn't execute properly doesn't necessarily benefit us as much as it causes us doubt, anxiety, and frustration. And those three things are detrimental for success. There is a necessity for positivity, reaffirmation, and understanding to succeed, not doubt, anxiety, and frustration. You may feel those things, but that doesn't mean you have to entertain them. And by entertain, I mean simply ponder on them for longer periods than necessary. I think using sound and using music is important as well in shaping our environment and as well in shaping our moods. We can listen to one kind of song and completely shift how we feel about our day and our actions. And for focus and concentration, it's just as important. Although I think it does take a certain degree of more intentionality and more awareness about what we're trying to achieve with the music we listen to, what kind of songs we're hearing. According to the University of Birmingham, music between 50 to 80 BPM can induce an alpha brain state associated with concentration and focus. Right? Scientific research proves that this means that if you listen to certain kinds of music, you will actually achieve more focus. So taking that in consideration when it comes to strategizing our weeks for what we're going to do and accomplish, and understanding our energies and how we feel throughout the day and throughout the week can allow us to more precisely curate our actions, our attitudes, and our progress towards our goal. So, like the first thing I mentioned was strategizing and planning, weekly planning, seeing a more broader view, and then understanding that our energies are not linear. They don't go in an upward direction. As a matter of fact, they fluctuate kind of like a wave, like a sound wave. And like sound, it changes. And sound can be used to change our moods and change our thinking and change our brain's natural state. So with all that understood, it's important to understand the components of concentration and achieving things. We need to strategize. We need to be in tune to our energy. We need to shape our environment through sound or other environmental factors that allow us to lock in and focus, right? And setting aside time specifically for achieving something. So if we really want to get something done, that might mean setting aside an hour or 30 minutes, or even in some cases, depending on how lengthy the task, a whole day, right? So I hope this video was helpful with giving you some strategies to use in your own life, and wish you the best in all the things you try to achieve and succeed at. Thanks for watching.